great country.
Vậy như là bây giờ nó đi ra với mình,
ESPN
mình dạy cho nó chính là tin Android.
7-6. Stephen A. Smith Show brought to you by Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. That's Credit Karma. Get knowing. So I'm going to let you in behind the curtain a little bit. Talking to the producer of the show, John, last night, and Stephen A. always refers to John. Great right-hand man, great guy, right? And he says, what are you going to want to get into today? I said, something will happen, I'm sure, John. And then about 9:30 Eastern last night, I texted him. I said, I told you something's going to happen here. Magic Johnson is out as president of the Lakers. No one saw this coming. Nobody had any idea this was going to happen. It comes as a complete shock. And let's be honest here, people, please. This was a disaster from the get-go. Now, Magic, we'll hear from Magic in a couple of moments. We'll hear from Stephen A. as well, Jalen Rose, Byron Scott, Ramona Shelburne is going to join us in about an hour from right now. This was a disaster. This did not work. This had no hopes of working. I mean, the relationship with Jeannie Buss, Magic, Pelinka, Luke Walton was toxic, was ineffective, and Magic Johnson failed. And there's no two ways about it. There's no other spin you can put on this. There's no other person you can blame here. There's no blame to go around. This was Magic Johnson failing at this job. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, and no contracts. And let's take a listen to a little bit of what Magic had to say in a press conference that nobody knew. Nobody had any idea. Jeannie Buss, the owner of the team, had no comprehension that Magic was going to do this. Here he is discussing stepping down with the LA Lakers.
So today I'm going to step down as the president. And I think I don't want to, her and I have such an amazing relationship. And I think that she gave me full power to do what I wanted to do. But I think that with her and I want to always preserve our relationship. And
what I don't understand, and what doesn't make sense to me, and it never will, and Ramona Shelburne is going to join us in about an hour, like I said, and she's got her hands all over this story. What makes no sense to me is how you're so indebted to the Buss family, how Jeannie has gone completely out of her way to help you in every conceivable scenario, and you don't even let her know that you're going to do this. She learns when the rest of the world learns. Now, I guess, and I understand this to a little extent, is that he was concerned that Jeannie was going to talk to him and say, don't do it, stay, keep the job. But come on, have a modicum of respect for your employer and walk up to her or call her and say, I can't continue at this job anymore. That's the right thing to do. And universally, Magic Johnson is beloved. There's no one out there that you say Magic Johnson, they don't immediately say, I love him, right? I mean, there are very few people like that. There's people that don't like Michael Jordan. I think there's a lot of people that don't like Michael Jordan. Magic Johnson's beloved. And I think he didn't like to take criticism. And he didn't like to be thought of as a failure. And to have people say he was incapable of doing this job. But you know what the truth is? He was. He couldn't. He was not fit for this job. He was not fit for this role. He was not capable to do it. What did he do well? You tell me. You think he got LeBron? I don't think he got LeBron. I think LeBron was going there regardless. So what did he do well with this job? And you know what the answer is? Nothing. They were terrible the last 2 years. He surrounded LeBron with a team which was laughable. D'Angelo Russell, who you look at now and you say, boy, what a point guard this is. They didn't even give him a chance in L.A. Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Rajon Rondo, all these guys. Yeah, talented, but he did not put this team together very well. And he also says fans need to know that this is going to get bad before it gets good in L.A.
What's tough for fans to understand is it's got to be misery and it's got to be bad before it can get good. See, everybody wants the Lakers to turn around tomorrow. That wasn't going to happen, and I explained that to them when we took over the job. We're heading in the right direction. That's what I'm concerned about. If we were not, I'd probably be staying. But since I feel we're one star away and one or two role players away, and so I'm happy. I'm happy.
How could it be happy? How could you do this job, or lack thereof, finish in this capacity and think for a second that you did well, that you succeeded. You managed to break LeBron James's string of going to the playoffs every single year. I mean, LeBron goes to the finals with guys that shouldn't even be on rosters every single year. And you managed to put such a porous team around him and do such a bad job. And it's not easy for me to say this because I love Magic Johnson. Like I said, everybody loves Magic Johnson. But let's be honest, guys, he did a horrendous job. And that's Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. This is an unbelievable story. And nobody knew. Jeannie didn't know. Pelinka didn't know. Nobody had any idea. That's rare. It's rare that you just take the podium, stand up in front of everybody, and make an announcement like this. That is very, very rare in sports. In this day and age, that this is kept so quiet. Now, you can love him. He's a great guy. He's an affable character. He's a fun-loving man. He's got a great smile. When he goes to Michigan State games, it's wonderful. But let's be honest, to be a president of a basketball team, you have to be traveling the world now. You have to be going over to Turkey and Finland and Croatia and Australia and scouting and researching and doing your job. And that's a lot. And it was the same with Phil Jackson. Remember the story of Phil Jackson was scouting guys who fell asleep during the whole thing? Well, you know what? This is not for everybody. And let's be honest now. This was not for Magic Johnson. And Jalen Rose has a good point on First Take today. He said Magic basically, and this is the hard truth, and I want to get to the calls as well because I know Laker fans are all riled up about this. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. That Magic stepped down because he could not complete, he could not finish this job.
I'm going to tell you guys why Magic Johnson actually stepped down. He stepped down because he wasn't able to finish the job. That's the flat-out truth. He was able to deliver LeBron James, which is an iconic basketball player, but the Lakers didn't make the playoffs this year. The second part of the job was to deliver a max-level free agent. You try to, during the season, get Anthony Davis. That blows up in your face, and now that deal won't look as good in the future. And so, therefore, if the top free agents, who I'm calling the 4Ks, Kawhi, KD, Kyrie, and Clay, if none of them are coming to the Los Angeles Lakers, the job will be incomplete because what I've been trying to tell people all season, not only were they not going to compete this year, if they're not able to get one of those players, therefore he's not going to be able to deliver.
And I got to tell you, the Knicks fan in me is dancing around. And I don't know that Durant or Kyrie or Kawhi or whoever is going to wind up with the Lakers is or isn't or whatever. But you know what? Instability leads to things not happening or bad things happening. And as a Knicks fan, and how about this? This might be the first day in the last 35 years as a Knicks fan that I can actually wake up and say, you know what? My organization just might be more functional than the Lakers. How about that? How about that? The Knicks right now might be more functional than the LA Lakers. And on that, let's bring in the host of this fine program, Stephen A. Smith. Stephen, we appreciate it. I know you're busy, but this is unbelievable stuff. How about the fact of what is going on with Magic Johnson? Did you have any inkling that this was going to happen?
Well, we were hearing that he was frustrated. I didn't think that he was going to resign, certainly not yesterday. If he was going to do something, you probably surmised that it was going to be after the NBA draft or before draft lottery, that kind of thing, as the offseason was reflected upon. But when you heard the rumblings about his frustration with a lot of the chirping that was coming, that was being taken place behind his back, and how it was aimed in his direction. Magic Johnson is one of those guys, man. He's an individual that doesn't suffer that kind of stuff for too long. Not to mention the fact that he's extraordinarily rich, incredibly well off, and he doesn't need it. He will walk out in a heartbeat if something stresses him and genuinely makes him unhappy to the point where he doesn't have fun doing it. He's not going to deal with it. That's just who he is. That's just how he is. And there's nothing about him that's going to change in that regard.
Did you have the reservation when he originally took the job 2 years ago that we could get to this point, or did you think this was ultimately going to work?
I did not. That part is utterly shocking because he acquired LeBron James. I thought that he would win a championship and then retire, quit. Once you got the Lakers back and restored their glory to some degree, you'd walk away and quit. But here's what it comes down to. There were a multitude of moves that were made that were absolutely, positively not impressive. He can't escape that reality. Then it gets a little bit deeper because as I reported on First Take this morning and then on SportsCenter last night, you have denials from the Jeannie Busters of the world, the Rob Pelinkas of the world. But I was told that Magic Johnson wanted to fire both Luke Walton and Rob Pelinka, that was something that Jeannie Buss did not want to do. And as a result, Magic said, I've had enough of this stuff. And the reason why he had regressed to wanting to get rid of Rob Pelinka is because he felt like Rob Pelinka was somebody that was doing things behind his back that he didn't like. And I gave what would seem like an innocuous example of him being inside Lakers facilities and saying, hey, where's Magic at? Have y'all seen Magic? Knowing Magic wasn't there, just to bring attention to the fact that Magic wasn't there. He wasn't a hands-on kind of guy or whatever the case may be. Rob Pelinka, in fairness to him, has denied all of this. He knows that he was a damn good agent that represented some marquee clients like of Kobe Bryant, for example, there's envy and jealousy on the part of people out there that will want to lie on him. The problem is that everywhere you go, you see people who despise Rob Pelinka in the business, other agents, executives that won't return his phone calls, that only wanted to talk to Magic Johnson, didn't want to answer or return his phone calls, et cetera, et cetera. I've been covering the NBA for nearly 25 years. I've never seen anything like this for an executive. I've never seen an executive so maligned. And maybe it's wrong, but there are a collection of enemies out there towards Rob Pelinka. They don't like him at all. And they let Magic know about that. So I think the combination of all of those things ultimately resonated with Magic to a point where he wanted to make that move. And when purportedly he was denied the opportunity to do so, he said enough of this. But again, Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka both spoke to me last night, and they emphatically and categorically deny that there's any truth to those allegations that have been levied against them.
He is Stephen A. Smith. I'm Dave Rothenberg, filling in for Stephen A. on his show. So the question, Stephen, is what's next now for the Lakers? Does Pelinka stay? Does Walton stay? And who replaces it and runs this organization moving forward?
Well, that's the magic question, because I think whatever happens is going to tell us a lot about what actually did happen with Magic Johnson. For example, if Luke Walton is kept and Rob Pelinka is still there, if the both of them are still there, right, then we know that Magic's authority was usurped because Magic Johnson was going to fire Luke. And when I tell you he was going to fire Luke Walton and the coaching staff, I'm not only telling you today, which is today, I'm telling you the time, 10 a.m. this morning. It was scheduled. Luke Walton was going to be fired and that coaching staff. And suddenly things may have changed. If that still happens, then we're talking about Rob Pelinka and what that element is. And obviously Rob Pelinka is a part of the Lakers organization because he has a very good relationship with Jeannie Buss. And he's loved by Kurt Rambis's wife, who's best friends with Jeannie Buss. But he used to represent Kobe, and nobody swears by him more than Kobe Bryant. And Jeannie loves herself some Kobe. He is family to the Lakers organization. He's everything to them. And so because of that, that's believed to be the biggest reason why Rob Pelinka is still there. And so when you look at it from that perspective, him being there, again, there's plausible deniability on the part of Jeannie Buss that, she had nothing to do with this. But if Luke Walton stays, you absolutely positively know that Jeannie Buss usurped the authority of Magic Johnson because there's no way in hell that Luke Walton was going to stay on as coach. And let me be clear about something. I'm not one of those people who believes Luke Walton should have been fired. I think Luke Walton got a raw deal based on a roster he was forced to work with. But the bottom line is that he was going to be fired because Magic inherited him just to a degree like he inherited Rob Pelinka. He wanted to move in a different direction. And if Luke stays on, that is crisp, clear proof that Jeannie Buss made that call and not Magic Johnson, because Magic Johnson was going to get rid of Luke Walton.
In your mind, and I know you got to run, and I'll let you go in a second. In your mind, did Magic Johnson owe, or maybe not, anything to Jeannie Buss to tell her that he was going to step down before he just made this a public announcement?
You're asking the wrong question about that, and the wrong person rather about that, and I'm gonna tell you why. I don't believe they didn't know. I'm one of those people. Yes, we have to report it. We have to listen to what Magic Johnson said. We have to take him. I guess we have to take him at his word. The man's on the record quoting he didn't talk to Jeannie, whatever.
Right.
But you did have a 3-hour meeting the day before. You did meet with LeBron James and Rich Paul Saturday. So you had these meetings, and no one had an inkling that you were going to do this. They might not have had an inkling he was going to do it last night. But I find it very, very difficult to believe that no one knew a damn thing. I just don't believe it. Now, again, we're going to take Magic at his word, just like Magic has said a few other things that we've taken him at his word. But I've told Magic to his face in the past. I said, man, I don't believe it. I think you're doing this to protect such and such, because that's the kind of guy he is. And he loves Jeannie. And he knows that Jeannie is a sweetheart of a person. She runs the business operations. It's incredibly, incredibly difficult for her to make moves against her family. And she considers Magic Johnson family. And so, as a result, he made it easier for her by walking away. But it is not an accident that he left Rob Pelinka out of his line of affection that he was throwing in everybody's direction last night. And I think that can't be ignored, because I think that may have been the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't mean to put Rob Pelinka in the bullseye view, because there's more to this than that in terms of the Lakers organization and what ails them. But what resonates with me is that we've known for weeks Magic Johnson was going to get rid of Luke Walton. And Jeannie Buss repeatedly said, Magic Johnson runs basketball operations. I will support whatever decision he made. It wasn't until I heard that he wanted to get rid of Rob Pelinka that all of a sudden stuff hit the fan. And that's what makes Rob Pelinka relevant in all of this.
Any idea who replaces Magic and runs this organization moving forward now?
Well, we don't know. Bob Myers for Golden State would love that job. He's always wanted the Lakers job, even though he's happy in Golden State. But how much more can you do there? David Griffin, who led LeBron to a championship in Cleveland as the architect of the Cavaliers franchise, he definitely would take the job. But they're going to have to pay him about $6 million a year. They're paying Rob Pelinka $5 million, so Griffin might ask for 7 or 8 now after that. Okay, you've got Masai Ujiri in Toronto. He's somebody that has the potential to land a job if they wanted him badly enough and were to pursue him. So you have all of those things to take into consideration. My personal opinion is they should make a call to Jerry West. Jerry West works within the organization. He's an aspiring GM. He's pretty damn good at what he does. He knows his basketball, and Jerry West is considered the greatest executive in the history of the sport. I don't think he'll ever leave the billionaire that is Steve Ballmer being his right hand, having his ear, and just being a consultant without the responsibility to take blame or credit. So I don't think he'll ever do it. But if I'm the Los Angeles Lakers and I want to resurrect this franchise, it's the likes of Jerry West or Pat Riley. That's what I'm thinking. And I don't think either of them would take the job, but I'll be damned if I didn't ask.
Steven, I can't say this often in my 46 years of being on this planet. Can I say right now at this moment that the Knicks are more functional than the Lakers?
You can say that because Steve Mills and Scott Perry are respected. They've got a lot to prove, please don't get me wrong, but there's nothing about them to disrespect. Steve Mills ingratiates himself, cultivates relationships with agents. We'll see what that materializes into. And Scott Perry is highly respected throughout NBA circles as being a talent evaluator and helping to build a franchise. Remember, he was working under Joe Dumars when Joe Dumars went to back-to-back NBA Finals appearances and got the Detroit Pistons to 6 consecutive Eastern Conference Finals appearances. If it were me, I'd call Joe Dumars too. Now, he's done with it because he doesn't believe he'll get an opportunity because it's been so long since he's had one. But if I were the Lakers, I would consider calling Joe Dumars as well. He knows his basketball. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a champion. He's built the championship squad as an executive. He knows what the hell he's doing. I'd give him a call.
All right, Stephen, I appreciate a couple minutes. I know it's a real busy day for you, but good stuff, and I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right, that, of course, is Stephen A. Smith, as we're here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, and just a wild scene, just unbelievable. Now, he says he believes that other people knew, because it came out last night, Magic said nobody had any idea that Magic was going to die, was going to resign, I should say, right? And now you look at this whole thing, and Steven says, he doesn't know if that's true. Maybe Jeannie knew, maybe she didn't. All I can confirm is this. This was an epic disaster. This was an epic failure. And if you right now are a Lakers fan, you have to be shaking your head, because there's no way that 2 years ago Magic got this job and you thought for a second it would end like this, in epic failure. Now, if you haven't tried the incredible high-quality meat from ButcherBox, you're going to be blown away. ButcherBox delivers healthy, 100% grass-fed and grass-finished beef, free-range organic chicken, and heritage breed pork right to your door. With free shipping, you can get a month's worth of the best-tasting meat from ButcherBox for less than $6 a meal. ButcherBox is offering Stephen A's listeners the ultimate breakfast bundle, 2 packs of the best-tasting bacon you've ever had, and 2 pounds of their custom breakfast sausage, plus $20 off your first box when you sign up at butcherbox.com/Stephen A. That's butcherbox.com/Stephen A. So you heard my take. You heard what Stephen had to say, and he certainly is in the know. What do you have to say? Magic did not succeed. Magic is out. What happens with Pelinka? What happens with Walton? That's the million-dollar question. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Dave Rothenberg in for Stephen A., ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
That national championship without DeAndre Hunter and how well he played last night. Weren't winning the game. Not just because he made that impressive game-tying three there in the waning stages of regulation, but just the fact that he woke up from, let's call it a slumber, from the previous couple of games. And he wasn't maybe delivering on the scoring end as much as maybe we would expect with somebody of his ability and his talent. Phenomenal player. But college basketball over the years has also transitioned into a very much a guard-oriented sport, right? And Virginia's backcourt, when you're talking about Kyle Guy and Jerome and, of course, Hunter, those guys led the charge for this basketball team. And it was their poise and their shot making. Talk about clutch. How about Virginia at the free throw line last night? You know, an old friend used to tell me, when you look at this tournament and when you really sit down and kind of zero in on what team is going to go deep and what team can make a run, look no further more often than not than the free throw shooting department. You need to be able to make free throws in this tournament. And Virginia did that. Okay? When you get those opportunities, you got to cash in. None more so than Guy on Saturday night in the Final Four. You want to say that the whistle there at the end of the game was maybe a little uncalled for? You didn't think that it was the right call? You want to see the referee swallow the whistle in a perfect world that late in the game? Let the players go out there and decide the game themselves? Fine. Still have to make 3 free throws. And he made them. And he made them. And it's not going to be smooth sailing each and every time you go through an NCAA tournament to cut down the nets. You're going to have some bumps along the way. You're going to be faced with some adversity. This Virginia team faced it. Shoot, I could go back a couple of weeks to round 1 when they played Gardner-Webb. Again, a 1 against a 16. And remember, Virginia was sluggish in that first half. They found themselves trailing. And everybody in America, myself included, was saying, you know what? Here we go again. Same old Virginia. And you knew that things were getting a little bit tight for them because you knew that that was probably playing in the back of their minds.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News, and ESPN Radio presented by Progressive Insurance, protecting commercial vehicles and offering specialized coverages designed to protect your business. More at progressivecommercial.com. I mean, the story in sports is Magic Johnson saying, I am out of here. I am done with the Lakers. I am no longer president of the Lakers. Now, Steven says that the relationship with Pelinka and Walton and how Jeannie was involved and didn't want to get rid of those guys, and Magic did, and how it was just a very uncomfortable situation. But this comes as a big surprise, I think, to a lot of people that are not closely involved in this story. Right? If you're just a Lakers fan or an NBA fan and you hear that this has just happened, this is a shock. And when I saw it last night, I was completely stunned by it. I think most people were. And again, I think you have to go back to the fact that he did not succeed. And there's no two ways about it. There's no, well, if you look at this or that. No, he did not. Magic Johnson, who has succeeded in almost everything that he's done, did not succeed in turning the Lakers around. And that's true. Well, let's go to Bill in Queens. Bill, you're on ESPN Radio.
Good afternoon, Dave. Doing double duty today, huh?
That's right.
You tired yet?
I'm a busy guy. No, I don't get tired talking sports. Come on.
You're a machine. You're like the FedEx guy.
What do you got, Bill? Go ahead.
I guess, I'm not a huge basketball fan, but it seems like Magic Johnson's really getting raked over the coals here. I'm curious, maybe from other fans who are bigger fans than I am, where does LeBron play into this? I mean, he's a larger-than-life figure. His persona and his aura are given out. Like, that must be very difficult to manage that guy. I mean, there was a thing on TMZ this morning. Magic Johnson's resigning, and the whole Lakers team's out partying in L.A. last night. Like nothing's going on with the team, and led by LeBron James.
Which I understand, but what do you want them to do? I mean, just sit around and quietly have conversations like someone has passed away? I mean, the season is over. They know they're not going anywhere. They have one more game to play, and they're done. And Magic Johnson being there or not being there really has no impact on their Tuesday night out in Los Angeles.
No, definitely not. But I guess I'm curious where his persona plays into this. I mean, he dictates to management at times. Who's going and what's going on.
You're right, and I appreciate the phone call. Listen, there's no doubt that LeBron is a key cog here in this game, but I don't know that he is the reason that Magic has decided that this is not something for him. I think Magic realized that this is hard. I think a lot of people look at it and say, and we talked about it on earlier today on my show in New York about Chris Mullin, and didn't want any part of this, and maybe didn't realize how hard it was to run a college program. It's hard. And you have to be willing to get on the plane at 5 o'clock in the morning and travel to Europe and meet with, family members and go to early practices and watch kids play AAU. And I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into this, and establishing relationships. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot. And I think it's fair to say that Magic Johnson, and again, we love Magic. He's a lovable guy. He's an affable guy. He's got a great smile. He was a great player. He's been a great ambassador. He is a great businessman. But as far as running an organization, he did not succeed there. Let's go to JC in Delaware. JC, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
You got it.
I just wanted to I completely agree with you about, it being a complete disaster and all that. But I wanted to get your thoughts on what does this say to potential free agents that might be looking at the Lakers in the offseason? I know that, Stephen A. was saying the other day that Kyrie was going to grant them an interview, and, there may be others. But what does something like this latest development, just another cog in the wheel of disaster kind of say to anybody who might be looking at L.A. as a potential destination this offseason?
I don't think it bodes well. I mean, Magic wanted to leave. There's obviously dysfunction between Jeannie Buss and Magic, and he's gone now, but Pelinka involved in that, and Luke Walton involved in that, and they're not winning. And you've got LeBron who's headstrong. So, yeah, you know what? It's not a good situation, and I appreciate the phone call. It's not. There's no two ways about this. This is a bad situation now. Now, does it mean it can't be turned around? Does it mean that, doing a 180 in the next 18, 24 months is an impossibility? No. They're still the Lakers. And they still got cachet, and they still got LeBron. And when you've got, and I don't know if you consider him the best player, the second or the third or whatever now at this point, but he is a great, great player. And he's a great, great big game player. And there are going to be some that want to, tie themselves to that. But do I think that if you're the Clippers, you say, you know what, maybe I can get Kawhi over the Lakers now? Yeah, I think there's a chance of that. I do. As a Knicks fan, do I think that maybe there's somebody out there that says, Kyrie particularly, you know what? I don't know. Seems more dysfunctional than the Knicks are right now. Yeah, I think that could happen. I hope that happens. I want to see the Knicks relevant. Aaron in Cincinnati. Aaron is on ESPN Radio. What's up, Aaron?
How you doing, man? Just a quick comment on Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
We need to do something. We need to call it the Pope or something. I mean, he came in so fast, came out. I mean, we don't know what they expect now. My question to you is, what has to happen next? I mean, what has to happen next? Because we already know that LeBron already said that he's looking forward to somebody joining him and, going to the top. Well, Magic Johnson already took himself off the cliff, so that's out the question. What do we have to do now?
I think you have to put someone in. I think you have to know your hierarchy. I think before you can think about Durant or Irving or Kawhi or any of these guys potentially, or what do you do with Lonzo Ball, or what do you do with Brandon Ingram, or is Anthony Davis a realistic possibility? I think you have to get to the point where you say, who's the decision maker? Is Rob Pelinka my GM? I mean, Steven just said it sounds like he's not very well respected around the league. Is that what you want the face of your organization to be? Who replaces Magic? We hear some names being rumbled around, but we don't know that either. Is Luke Walton going to be the coach? What does LeBron want? How much of an influence is LeBron in some of these decisions? This is like a soap opera now at this point. LeBron is involved. Jeannie Buss is involved. Pelinka is involved. Luke Walton's involved. Magic is now not. Who replaces him? Does he get forced with Pelinka and Luke Walton? We don't know. There's a lot of things, and thanks for the phone call, a lot of things that have to happen to know the direction of this. But you'd think that they'd want to get this done sooner rather than later, because on July 1, all these free agents are ready to go. Charlie, Indiana. Charlie, you're on ESPN Radio.
How you doing, Dave? Thanks for taking my call.
You got it.
Stephen A. kind of touched on my thoughts as far as the relationship between Luke Walton and Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson wanting to cut Luke Walton, and I was wondering what you thought about maybe Magic Johnson seeing not only how hard a job that it was, but realizing that he's not going to have players come to L.A. to play with LeBron because of the drama queen LeBron is. I'll cut you loose and hear what you got to say.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. That to me is kind of the unknown. We hear this. LeBron, guys are not interested in playing with him, but Kyrie Irving, I guess, was going to take a meeting and had some interest. So I don't know. I think that LeBron is polarizing and that there are probably some free agents out there who say, you know what, that's not for me. Because I don't want to go somewhere where if things go great, LeBron gets all the credit, and if things go horribly wrong, I get all the blame. Why would I want to take a job like that where I could go somewhere else and be the guy? I can go to the Knicks and I can be the guy that either wins or loses, gets the credit or the blame. Because you know that key moment, LeBron's going to have the ball in his hands. If it doesn't work out, it wasn't LeBron's fault. It was your fault. Is that what you're willing to get into bed with, I guess is the question. Now, spring is finally here. You know what that means. Amazing deals on the first tulips of spring from 100flowers.com. To order 30 assorted tulips for just $30. All you have to do is go to 100flowers.com/ESPN. Gus in Jersey is on ESPN Radio. What's up, Gus?
Hey, I was just, I guess like everybody, it caught everybody off guard, just like a Magic Johnson pass when he was in the 80s. But, again, I was just wondering if the Lakers hire somebody to be their GM, do you think that will just, is there anybody that can just clean up this mess, basically how it looks right now?
Yes.
I don't know if I was a free agent, if even, I guess it depends on the person, but even if I see somebody, after seeing all this, I don't know if there's anybody with enough weight to be able to, to make me want to go to LA.
No, that does exist. It exists. It's a possibility. I don't know who it's going to be. Do I think Jerry West could go there and clean this whole thing up? Yes. I don't know. There's a ton of those guys, but I think you have to have someone who, sadly, LeBron says I'm okay with, because otherwise, I think you're in a whole heap of trouble. If you bring in another GM or another president, and again, we don't know what they're going to do. If Jeannie really loves Luke Walton and she loves Rob Pelinka, they may not go. You might just be bringing in a new president to work in conjunction with them. So now you're going to have the old regime mixed with the new regime, and it'll be a similar situation where the new hire doesn't get to pick his own guys. Is that what you want? Is that the ideal? I can't imagine it is. So I don't know. But what it feels like right now is the Lakers are in turmoil, and it is not working. You have, again, you could consider him whatever you want, the best, the third, the fifth, whatever. You have one of the great players now and one of the great players in the history of the game. And it feels like you are moving in the wrong direction. Completely in the wrong direction. And that's the LA Lakers. And that's unusual. I mean, you're 40, you're 45, you're 50. You've had, moments of this in your sports fandom where the Lakers have not been relevant to the nth degree. Now, when you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes. No. You want an efficient way to get a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screener questions based on your job requirements, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job.
I never saw Space Jam 1. I know it's been a while. I know it's just, you know what? It was never in my wheelhouse when it came out. It's just not something that I really wanted to see, that I had to see. I'm familiar with the storyline. It's really not difficult to grasp, right? I know that there were some NBA players in the original with Michael Jordan. I get it. So LeBron is going to be in the sequel. And now there's guys, according to Brian Windhorst, our very own, that don't want to join forces with him in the movie. So this goes back to our earlier conversation about Kyrie and other potential free agents with the Lakers. If guys don't want to join LeBron James's team in a fictitious basketball movie and to play on a fictional basketball team, then why am I going to sit here and believe that any basketball players want to join his real team in real life basketball in the NBA? That doesn't bode well, don't you think? Nobody wants to get paid a lot of money to go shoot a movie, which is like playtime stuff, and have LeBron James as a teammate. So do you really think that they're going to change their mind in real life? This might be a real thing, that nobody wants to play with LeBron. Even his buddy, Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony doesn't have a job. Nobody in the NBA wants him. Yet, Carmelo don't even want to go play on the Space Jam team. I don't know what they're called either. I don't know what the name of the team is going to be called. I don't know what the name of the team was in the first one. They'll probably come up with some catchy name, but even Melo doesn't want to play in that game. The Monstars, as our producer John Winthrop is telling me. The Monstars. That was Jordan's team, the Monstars? Oh, that was the Aliens. Well, what was... Oh, they returned the Aliens. My mind is blown right now. Okay? The fact that you're telling me Ewing and Barkley turned to Aliens, I mean, maybe I have to go see this movie. Right? I know I'm maybe like 20 years too late, 25 years too late, but you know what? It's funny. The Dream Team has come up a lot in this show today.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Magic Johnson has decided that he and the Lakers will part ways in an impromptu press conference last night. If you missed any of hour one of the show, go check it out on demand in the Stephen A. Smith podcast, brought to you by the Capital One Saver Card. Earn 4% cash back on dining and entertainment, 2% at grocery stores, and 1% on all other purchases. What's in your wallet? Ramona Shelburne will join us in about 10 minutes here on ESPN Radio. I know a lot of you have a lot to say. It's a really explosive story, and I want to give you your take and your time. Let's go to Scott in L.A. Scott, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hey, good morning, Dave, and thank you for letting me come on. I've been listening all day yesterday and again all day this morning.
Right.
I'm particularly frustrated and flummoxed by Windhorst and Woj. They've in my opinion, have gone over the top in their condemnation of only Magic Johnson in all of this, bordering on irresponsible and making it personal for some reason.
Well, he doesn't look great in this, Scott, by any stretch.
Yeah, no, by any empirical measurement, yes, his performance was poor, and he saved the Genie having to fire him. Let's be clear about that. But to think that LeBron James and the toxicity that he brings to an organization, only one time has anybody ever stood up to him, and that was Pat Riley in Miami. Everywhere else, he got his way on everything.
Well,
and what he
wins.
To this team,
I mean, Scott, look at what he does. It's not like he's winning a battle and then he's not succeeding. He wins. All he does is win. He's gone to how many, up until this year, how many consecutive NBA finals? It's year after year after year. Wouldn't you allow someone like that to have a little more leeway than Magic Johnson here?
Dave, come on. He quit on his team last year in Game 1 of the finals on the dumb play by. He
quit on his team. He was putting up numbers we've never seen. He had a guy on his team that didn't know the situation of the game and took a ball and started to run out the clock of a tie game. That's LeBron James's fault?
No, the point is that your so-called experts on ESPN, they're only blaming Magic in this. They're not blaming James. They're not blaming Pelinka, who is totally ill-equipped to be a GM.
Maybe he is.
Did anybody seriously think that Genie brought in Magic Johnson to be a day-to-day operator like a Sam Presti? No.
That's his role.
That's Rob Pelinka's job.
Well, the two of them have not meshed well. You're right. Listen, I'm not saying it's all on Magic. I think that Genie's responsible for putting this together. I think that Magic is responsible. I think that Pelinka is responsible. I think Walton's responsible. Honestly, and I know he can be a handful. I don't exactly see how LeBron James is to blame in this situation.
To look at what James did to that team this year, from causing Luke Walton to get a reprimand 10 games into the season.
He's not the one who was trying to get this Anthony Davis trade done and making this as if this was on the verge of being completed. That wasn't LeBron James.
Of course it was.
I got to go. Listen, do I think that it's all Magic Johnson? No. I don't think it's entirely Magic, but to say that he's not at least a large part responsible on what has gone wrong with the LA Lakers, you have your head in the sand. All right, Ramona Shelburne's going to join us in just a couple of minutes from out in LA. She'll help us break this down. Dave Rothenberg for Stephen A. right here on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
From coast to coast, the Stephen A. Smith Show starts right now.
Hour 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Dave Rothenberg in for Stephen A. A very busy day. A lot going on in the world of the LA Lakers. And the Stephen A. Smith Show brought to you by Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring. Free Credit Karma today. Credit Karma. Get knowing. We bring in one of my favorites in the business. She is Ramona Shelburne. And Ramona has had a lot of information on this story and will impart us with some of that knowledge. Ramona, appreciate a couple minutes. I know you're busy. Let's start with, does this come as a complete shock to you that Magic just has an impromptu press conference and says, okay, I'm done?
Yeah, and is it shocking the way he did it, the timing? Yes. Was I shocked that he quit? No. I had talked to people, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago, and you could tell the constant pressure on Magic and the constant negative stories and criticism was really getting to him. And I think the pressure also to land a top free agent this summer was starting to weigh on him. And whether this is indicative of, his confidence or lack thereof about their ability to land a free agent, I don't know, but you can read into it what you will. But I didn't think he would do something like this now. I thought the play was You get your coach that you choose, you pick, you get the guy that you have an organizational synergy with, right? Now you get your guy, and then you have your chance in free agency. And if they get somebody, they go forward. If they don't get somebody, they make a trade. And then this is what you do for a year. And then if it doesn't work, it wouldn't surprise me if you step down. But to do it now, before any of that gets a chance to happen, that's stunning.
It feels like he hates any negativity around him at all. And he's always beloved, and he's always got a smile, and people love him. We saw him at the Michigan State Final Four, and, there's Magic, and, all the good he's done, and all the just he's such a good-spirited guy, and people really like him. Was being a GM where there's a lot of negativity and a lot of behind-the-back snipping, was that just not for him? Was he just not comfortable in that situation, in that role?
Yeah, so it sounds like. I mean, that's kind of what he said, and people don't want to believe him, but that's really what it is. And I think that when you have enough money, there's an expression for that. You can walk away and not have to care why or explain yourself, right? I don't know if we could say that on a Disney station, right? Something like this, like maybe it's the first time he quit without talking to anybody, but he stopped being coach pretty abruptly. A talk show, the Magic Hour didn't last long, right? Anytime he gets into something that he's not really good at, and it's not going well, it's not reflective well on him, and he's not enjoying himself. See ya, right? Like that's kind of been Magic.
That's kind of his MO.
Yeah, I mean, and look, when you're Magic and you walk on water and you own the city of LA, who needs it? If it's too much work and you're just taking a pounding every day, you're just getting crushed on radio and TV, and you're hurting your legacy, your image. You're not able to do the things you actually enjoy doing, which is, he mentioned Serena Williams called and wanted him to be on her advisory board, and all these players just reach out to him, and he really has to do that. That's a nice life. That's a fun life without a lot of pressure and stakes, and this is a guy who doesn't need all that. And I think he thought he could come in and just charm the pants off everybody and work the room, but that's not what being a GM is. That's not what being a president is. It's about backroom deals and behind the scenes maneuvering, and Magic has always been best with the cameras on. He's not about working in the shadows behind the scenes.
And let's be honest, and as much as we like him and appreciate him, he's a great soundbite. He did a horrendous job here with the Lakers. I mean, he traded away.
I don't know that I agree with that.
Really?
I listen, when he took the job, they had Luol Deng and Timofey Mozgov on the books, okay? They had Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance, neither of whom have done much in Cleveland. And Larry Nance was maybe a little bit better, okay? But they have a nice young core. They have LeBron James on their team.
Right. But do you think that LeBron James did LeBron James go there because of Magic, or is LeBron James going there regardless?
No. I think, all Magic had LeBron James was wanting to go to Los Angeles for a while, but they had to do enough to get themselves in position. They had to do enough to make the franchise look respectable. I don't think LeBron goes there if Jim Buss and Mitch Kupchak are still there. I think they had to make that change. I don't think he could go there if they didn't make the trades they made to clear the cap space to get the players there. I think he had to go into that meeting with him and not mess it up, but also say the right things, which was, we're going to let you have a big say in this. We know how to treat stars. I'll be here for you. Like, they had to do everything right, but LeBron James was coming, right? Like, he chose the Lakers and they had to not mess it up. But I don't think you should understate the amount of maneuvering they had to do to get themselves in this position. There were a lot of moves they had to make and execute just in the right way at the right timing. And maybe the failure is in just the expectations and how they manage those. Because for most organizations, it takes 3, 4, 5 years to do a rebuild. And Magic, made a couple of nice trades and then did a touchdown dance and spiked the ball and pointed to the rafters and said, Lonzo Ball, we want your jersey up there. And we're thinking about getting to the finals because they got LeBron. I mean, he just got ahead of himself instead of realizing this takes time and you can't just fast forward that process.
It's a lot of work. Ramona Shelburne joining us here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Dave Rothenberg filling in on ESPN Radio, ESPN News as well. So what's next now for the Lakers? I mean, do they keep Pelinka employed? Is he the GM? Do they keep Luke
Yeah,
Walton?
I think so. I think he ascends in power. I think Rob Pelinka.
So he wins out here
for now. Yeah, in the short term. And I think Luke Walton. Look, he was going to be fired this morning. Like and now he's in there with exit meetings as the coach still. I mean, okay, you live another day. I don't know if that's winning, but man, it's like Magic just did something that was incredibly disruptive, and he didn't talk to anyone or consider the course of his action. I mean, he said last night, I want to be there for D Wade, and talking, I wish I could be there because I love him, and we just stepped all over his retirement.
Yeah, he really
no one's
did.
Celebrating D Wade this morning.
We could have actually talked about Dwayne Wade on Sports Talk today if Magic didn't get in the way of that,
How
right?
about Dirk Nowitzki? Dwayne Wade, Jamal Crawford went for 50. Those are great stories, and we're not talking about them. And it was because this was so hastily done and not considered, and just a moment of, and I hate to use the word selfish because it feels like I'm being judgy, but that's what it was in that moment.
It bothered me, and I don't know how you feel. Steve and I seem to think that Jeannie Buss knew this was going to happen. It bothered me that the first, at least I believe that she learned of this was through his impromptu press conference, and I would think that he would owe it to her to say, listen, they call themselves brother and sister. I owe you enough. I'm going to let you know that this is going to happen before I make this public.
I think she learned of it from his announcement. I don't know anyone who's told me differently. The very closest people to both sides here have said that. So I don't have any reason to believe that's not true. Is she shocked? Yes. But I think the way I put it is deeply disappointed. I think she could have talked him into staying if he would have come to her.
Which might be why he didn't tell her that he was going to do it.
Yeah, that's definitely why he didn't tell her. He didn't want to deal with it. He just wanted to do it. Just do it, and then and now it's done. You can't go back on it if you have to. But it's also about accountability and facing music and being professional. And I don't think that was. I think that was. He's still doing his press conference with the game starting. I mean, it took an hour and a half, and this game's tipping off. I'm like, what? There's a game, and the players what just happened? I mean, I was talking to CJ McCollum and Evan Turner, and they were like, what just happened? Is the Magic still talking? Because they were walking, by the Rajon Rondo, we found out when you guys did. And I was like, yeah, so did everyone. People were driving on their way to the game.
It really is unbelievable. So what's next for the president spot for the Lakers? Who do you think they go after?
I don't know that they go after anyone right now. I think they're going to take a breath. There's some owners meetings later this week. I think Thursday and Friday in New York. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of people calling and trying to influence the situation. But I honestly think this was such a stunning move that people are really just taking a breath. And the rest of the league is, of course, circling. I've gotten calls from, half a dozen GMs and agents recommending themselves to their clients, right? I mean, it's certainly a highly coveted job, and everybody, it's LA, and you have LeBron, and you have cap space. It's not bad. It's the Lakers, right? But I think anybody with a big name would only want this job if they're answering to ownership. It just feels like there needs to be some thoughtful consideration. And you saw in her statement last night, she says, I want to be methodical about this. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there's a rush. The only rush really is just that, you probably should give Luke Walton and his staff an answer within the next few days, because if they're in, they're in. But if they're not, then people need to go get other jobs, and that's just kind of the right thing to do. So, everybody understands that time has to pass, but this is also a business and a league that moves quickly. So I think that situation resolves one way or another, sooner rather than later. But, people are breathing today.
And what was LeBron's reaction? Was he as stunned as anybody else?
He was stunned. I talked to a couple of people. He found out like everybody else did. Magic called a press conference outside the locker room, and I know he called a couple of people and was like, "What happened?" And stunned. But he's got a good relationship with Jeannie Buss. She is a lot of the reason he decided to come to the Lakers, because he had a trust in ownership. That's important to him, obviously. with because of the other relationship he had with Dan Gilbert, right? Or lack thereof. And I think that he has a trust in her. I know they went to dinner a couple weeks ago and talked about a lot of things. Like, I think this is more of like he's comfortable with the owner. And, let's say, frankly, like, we're not talking about LeBron today, are we?
No.
He's already done his exit meeting. He did it last Saturday. We're probably not going to hear from him. And the question for all of them going forward is, like, who's leading the franchise as they go into free agency?
That's
a heck of a summer.
That's the big question. So without knowing that right now, is it realistic to think that the Lakers still land the big cog in free agency this summer?
So early to say. I didn't think they were going to anyway. I don't see how this helps, but I also don't. There's just more stuff has to happen. Right? Who's going to be in charge? Like, is it going to be Rob? Is it going to be somebody else? Like, I just can't predict that without knowing what they do next.
So a lot of things are going to happen. Ramona, always appreciate it. Thanks for a couple of minutes. I know you're super busy, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Good luck with this story.
Okay, talk to you.
All right.
Thanks. Bye.
That's Ramona Shelburne here on the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio. Do you need seats to a game? Download the Vivid Seats app and enter promo code CHAMPS at checkout to get 10% off your first order. Don't buy just any seat. Get a Vivid seat. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Out of nowhere, last night, Magic Johnson has a press conference right before the game. Turns into an hour and a half. I didn't realize this. Ramona says it spilled into the game. Like, the game is going on and Magic is still going on and on and on about how he is done with the Lakers. An hour and a half. It really is something you've really very infrequently or never seen before. 888-729-3776. Let's go to Jeremy in San Diego. Jeremy, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hey, how's it going, sir? Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome,
ESPN
Jeremy.
Is the amazing. I'm just happy to be on. Listen, like I said, from San Diego, and this has just been a rough time for the West Coast, for Southern California. As you all know, we lost Nipsey Hussle. They're actually doing his services tomorrow at the Staples Center. Now the Lakers have lost the Magic. It's been rough. But the thing is that, it hasn't even been 24 hours, right? It hasn't even been 24 hours. And the thing about the Lakers consistently over the generations is that the Lakers have kept it moving. Went from the Pat Riley era to Del Harris, Shaq, Kobe, Phil, LeBron, now Magic, right? The Lakers show keeps it moving. And I think the big issue here that we're not really holding accountable is Jeannie Buss. She's struggled. And she's struggled, I think, because she wears her heart on her sleeve.
Well, she's the one, and it's a good point, Jeremy. She's the one non-constant that we've seen with the Lakers over the last 40 years, right? Since she's taken over ownership of this club, it has not gone well.
It hasn't. And I think it's because she's not working to her strength. The love is important because the fans have the love. I have the love. Anybody in Southern California, Laker Nation, has that same love and feels the Lakers are like family and part of the community. So the answer to me is real simple, and nobody's brought this up, and I don't know why. Kobe Bryant is the answer. Kobe Bryant is who the Lakers need heading this. Listen, we've seen what
I don't even know if Kobe Bryant wants to be
Vines.
involved in management. Hey, are you interested in doing this and working 30 hours a week and commuting 8 miles? This is a complete change of life. Look, Magic tried it. He didn't know what he was in for. He failed at it.
But those are two different personalities.
I get it, but is Kobe Bryant, who's a family guy who lives in L.A., who's got a lot of other things, he just won an Academy Award, right? Is he going to want to start to play the whole thing of, all right, let's go, Turkey on Tuesday, Greece on Wednesday, Croatia on Thursday, I got to watch all these kids, I got to go, to Nebraska and talk to Fred Hoiberg and go down to Florida and talk to, is this what he wants? Is that the life that he wants?
I know that he's loyal to L.A. I know he's loyal to the Lakers. I know he's loyal to the Bucks family. He's one of those few players.
But that just might mean that he wants them to win. There's a far cry from being loyal to the family and saying, I will give you my entire life to try and make this a successful organization again.
Well, let me ask you a question then. It's a very interesting point. Do you think Rob Pelinka's that guy? Do you think
I don't know.
Pelinka's going to help us win?
I don't know. I have no idea. Rob Pelinka was an agent. And much like the Mets with Brody Van Wagenen, they brought him in to do the similar thing. You know what? You played on that side. Now let's see if you can be on the other side and put a team together. I don't know. I mean, what has Rob Pelinka done since he's been here that you would say is really great? Nothing. That's the truth.
Right. That's my point. He's unrelatable. We keep
But
putting
what
the blame
about
on LeBron
Kobe
James
other than he's
not being able
Look,
to-
Magic Johnson couldn't be more well respected. Likeable as likeable can be. He couldn't do it. So what makes you think that Kobe could do it? Who's got no experience at all in succeeding with anything like this.
Listen. Let's take a look at how Magic Johnson just quit the job. I mean, that should show you how out of touch Magic Johnson truly was. I don't think that was a classy move. I don't think that was the right move to place the Lakers in the right position moving forward. If anything, that was a bombshell. And that shows you how out of touch he truly was, like I wanted to state.
Or maybe it shows you how difficult this job was and that he was completely ill-prepared for it. And I appreciate the call. You brought up a lot of good points. But maybe it focuses, this is hard. Every fan thinks, if you just give me that salary, let me run the Lakers, I will bring them. It's not so easy. Everybody thinks, you know what? I can get on the radio and talk sports. That's not so easy. It's easy when you look at these things. I could do that. You just want me to go and draft? It's not so easy. And have relationships and sign free agents and make the locker room work and put in the right GM and the right coach. It's not so easy. Patrick in Illinois. You're on ESPN Radio, Pat.
Hey, Pat. Hey, what's up?
You're Pat. I'm Dave. How are you?
What's up, Dave? I can fix Lakers' problems.
Good. I'd like to hear this happen.
Trade LeBron for KD. LeBron is toxic. He ruins every team he's on.
I mean, listen, I'm not saying that LeBron doesn't have some skeletons in that closet, but the guy also wins almost every team he goes to.
I understand that, but every team he leaves, he ruins.
Because his talent's not there anymore. Not because he's not great. Cleveland stunk when he left because he wasn't there. All right, I can't. Let's move on. Let's go to Bruce in Pennsylvania. Bruce, you're on ESPN Radio.
Yeah, are you guys serious? Are you saying that Magic stepped all over Dirk and Dwayne Wade's retirement, and that's what you have to talk about today instead of talking about Dirk and Dwayne Wade?
We're saying that he made this a story on a night where it didn't have to be the story.
Well, why don't you talk about Dirk and
well, because it pales in
today
comparison.
And talk about Magic tomorrow?
Well, because Magic is the #1 story. So why would I, doing a sports talk show, say, hey, let's talk about the third and fourth stories in the world of sports? You think that's a winning program?
You're making it the #1 story.
This is me. Just me. Dave Rothenberg on the Stephen A. Smith Show. No, in fact, you know what, Bruce? Nowhere else can you even find the story. If you don't listen to this, Bruce, if you don't listen to this show, you will be completely in the dark that Magic Johnson even left the Lakers.
No. That's not my point. My point is, don't blame him for what you're talking about
I'm
today.
not blaming him, Bruce. I'm blaming
about.
you. Here's what I'm doing. I'm blaming you for calling with such a foolish call and goodbye and good day. Alex in Tennessee. Alex, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hey, how's it going? I'll try.
Are you
going to
scream at me for something, Alex? You want for something nonsensical?
I'm going to try. So I'd love to talk about LeBron's legacy moving forward, and if he continues to implode and the Lakers continue to implode, how do you think this marks his legacy moving forward? Because I'm one of those fans that I think he's better than Michael Jordan. I'm probably going to catch some flack for that, but I'm just afraid that people are remembered for their greatest moments and what they do in their last moments of their career. And if he continues to implode and gets hurt all the time and the Lakers don't win anymore, how do you think this marks him moving forward in the greatest of all time?
I think that he is right up there. Now, I know that a lot of people think that it's Michael, and I think that that's fine, but he's right up there. And I don't think there's anything that he can do from this moment forward that will define him as anything less than great, elite, all these superlatives that you could possibly put on anybody. I mean, he's LeBron James. He's taken teams that had no business going anywhere in the postseason to the NBA Finals. He took a team on his back. He took a team with Boobie Gibson as the point guard. I mean, he has done things that I don't know that anybody else could have done. Did he have a great year this year? Did he lead this team to those uncharted spots? No. But I don't think you have to worry about the legacy of LeBron James here.
Okay.
Do you feel better?
I do. I feel a lot better. Thanks.
Good. There you go. All right. Now, if you haven't tried the incredible high-quality meat from Butcher Box, you're going to be completely blown away. ButcherBox delivers 100% grass-fed and grass-finished beef, free-range organic chicken, and heritage breed pork right to your door. They work closely with the best farms and companies committed to raising animals humanely, from grass-fed beef to free-range organic chicken to wild-caught sockeye salmon from Bristol Bay, Alaska. ButcherBox has over 20 different cuts of meat to choose from, with customizable boxes and a variety of other options to choose from. And ButcherBox comes at an affordable price. With free shipping, you can get a month's worth of the best tasting meat from ButcherBox for less than $6 a meal.
They're not winning that national championship without DeAndre Hunter and how well he played last night. Weren't winning the game. Not just because he made that impressive game-tying three there in the waning stages of regulation, but just the fact that he woke up from, let's call it a slumber, from the previous couple of games. And he wasn't maybe delivering on the scoring end as much as maybe we would expect with somebody of his ability and his talent. Phenomenal player. But college basketball over the years has also transitioned into a very much a guard-oriented sport, right? And Virginia's backcourt, when you're talking about Kyle Guy and Jerome and, of course, Hunter, those guys led the charge for this basketball team. And it was their poise and their shot making. Talk about clutch. How about Virginia at the free throw line last night? You know, an old friend used to tell me, when you look at this tournament and when you really sit down and kind of zero in on what team is going to go deep and what team can make a run, look no further more often than not than the free throw shooting department. You need to be able to make free throws in this tournament. And Virginia did that. Okay? When you get those opportunities, you got to cash in. None more so than Guy on Saturday night in the Final Four. You want to say that the whistle there at the end of the game was maybe a little uncalled for? You didn't think that it was the right call? You want to see the referee swallow the whistle in a perfect world that late in the game? Let the players go out there and decide the game themselves? Fine. Still have to make 3 free throws. And he made them. And he made them. And it's not going to be smooth sailing each and every time you go through an NCAA tournament to cut down the nets. You're going to have some bumps along the way. You're going to be faced with some adversity. This Virginia team faced it. Shoot, I could go back a couple of weeks to round 1 when they played Gardner-Webb. Again, a 1 against a 16. And remember, Virginia was sluggish in that first half. They found themselves trailing. And everybody in America, myself included, was saying, you know what? Here we go again. Same old Virginia. And you knew that things were getting a little bit tight for them because you knew that that was probably playing in the back of their minds.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Well, Dave Rothenberg in for Stephen A. A lot of stuff going on with your L.A. Lakers. Magic says goodbye. We don't know what's going to happen with Rob Pelinka. We don't know what's going to happen with Luke Walton. Luke Walton was, as Stephen A. joined us early on, he said Luke Walton would have been fired by now if Magic didn't, have this impromptu press conference and say, I'm done. By the way, the Stephen A. Smith Show brought to you by mycomputercareer.edu, training for a better life. You know what feels to me like was kind of, and I don't know if it was the final nail in the coffin, but it certainly wasn't a good situation, was this Anthony Davis story. They thought they were going to get Anthony Davis. They talked about Anthony Davis. Magic got a slap on the wrist for not. You don't do that. You're tampering. It never came to fruition. New Orleans got livid about it, and this is where we are. Again, I know Ramona says that he did a couple things that were well done. I don't see a lot of things that he did that were great. I really don't. I mean, you have an all-star guard that he traded away. D'Angelo Russell is a terrific basketball player, and Magic wanted no part of that, traded him away. Look at him on Brooklyn now. Brooklyn's not a playoff team without him. He's their best player. So I just think that LeBron going there had, again, my mind, everybody's mind, had very little to do with Magic. He was going to go there because that's where he wanted to move. He wanted his Hollywood career to get started, to get into the movies and that kind of stuff. I just don't see a lot of great things that Magic did. And I think the job was probably, and I don't like to say it because I like Magic, but I think the job was probably too big for him, not knowing what he's getting involved with. Richard in New Jersey. Richard, you're on ESPN Radio.
How you doing, Dave?
What's up, Rich?
Couple points. Does anybody realize how great LeBron James is?
I think a lot of people do.
2 years, I think he made the championship game against the Spurs with the Cleveland team, and he is in the playoffs. Don't you agree with that?
I mean, I always preach that. The guy went to, I mean, the first year that he went to the finals, they were completely outmanned. They had like Larry Hughes and Boobie Gibson and Anderson Varejao and guys that are nothing. And he led them to the finals. He had that one game, remember, I think it was the game 5 against the Pistons where he scored like the last 30 points of regulation and into overtime. Yeah. No one that is listening, Richard, does not think that LeBron James is not the elite of the elite.
I know. What do you think of Mark Jackson as a coach of the Lakers?
I guess it depends if Mark Jackson wants to coach. I mean, does he want to coach? Does he want to coach that team? Does he want to coach LeBron? And more importantly, and thanks for the call, does LeBron want Mark Jackson? Because if they're going to move on from Luke Walton, you know sure as heck that they are going to ask LeBron, LeBron, what are you comfortable with here? Who would you like as the next head coach of this team? Because the last thing you want is to get into bed with someone who LeBron doesn't want. Now, that would be terrible. Talk about dysfunction. You've seen when LeBron is not happy. That's not good. Foster in Texas is on ESPN Radio.
Yes, I think I have a perfect solution to what's going on with the whole Lakers thing. Since LeBron's living in L.A. now and he wants to be a big movie star, it sounds kind of like he's going towards the semi-pro approach with Will Ferrell, and he should just become the new Jackie Moon and name himself president of operations, coach, and general manager and player.
I think it's a great idea. I'm gonna get that to Ramona, and she'll ask him that next time she speaks to him. Thanks, Foster. That was a tremendous add to the show. Thank you very much. Nolan in Virginia Beach. Nolan, you're on ESPN Radio.
Yes, sir. How are you, Dave? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nolan.
I noticed that you had a little knock on Kobe Bryant, but if Kobe Bryant get that job, there's two things in his favor that Magic don't have. He's a better in this era evaluator of talent.
Well, Nolan, how do you know that Kobe Bryant is a better talent evaluator than anybody? How do you know he's a good talent evaluator?
Than Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson is old school.
Even if you're better than, is that what you're looking for? You're looking for the next guy to be better than Magic, or you're looking for the next guy to be really good? And how can you possibly tell me, and I'm not saying he can't be, but how could you know, Nolan, that Kobe Bryant is a terrific talent evaluator?
Because he played in this era.
So because he played in this era, it makes him instantly capable of being a GM or a president of a team and putting the right pieces in place.
Right pieces in place. I know for sure he would keep some of the young core because he can teach them. Magic can't teach them anything. Magic is old school. You got to get somebody who played in this era to bring the Lakers into the best that they're in right now. And Kobe Bryant is the right man to do that.
So let me just ask you a question. I'm being sincere when I ask you. You just love Kobe Bryant, right?
I love Kobe Bryant. I love the Lakers since the days of.
I know. So you love. I feel like you need someone to put their arm around you, Nolan, and say you love Kobe. He's been a great Laker. He's a wonderful warrior on the basketball court. Nolan, we have no idea. Nolan, we have no idea if Kobe Bryant is capable of putting together a good basketball team.
Give him a chance.
I don't care. Give him a chance. It's not my team. You want to potentially ruin it with Kobe Bryant or succeed with Kobe Bryant? It'd make for a great story. Appreciate the call, Nolan. Give him a chance. I'm a Knicks fan. I have enough torture throughout my life. You want to have some of that torture if you're the Lakers? Have at it. Stephen A. Smith Show brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics. Taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch today to Pennzoil Synthetics. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Let's go to Robert in Georgia. Robert, you're on ESPN Radio.
How you doing, sir?
What's going on, Rob?
Hey, I just want to say, man, this is really breaking news. I don't know what's going on, of course, but we just need to get the ball moving. You know, we need to go after some legend from the Lakers, not somebody that's really close to Jeannie as a friend.
I think that's fair, but here's what I don't understand. Why does it have to be a Laker legend?
Well, you know, it doesn't have to be, but I would just like somebody like a Jerry West to come to the front office. And now he might still be with the Clippers and all. I'm not sure how that works out, but someone like that, you know, that's what Shaq said just last night. He would be the man to get us in the right direction. And I think going the Lakers route is best because you know their intentions are just to get us where we belong, where we once was before.
You know what the goal is. It's not so easy to accomplish that goal, though. And therein lies the rub, right? I mean, yes, you want to bring in a guy, but I don't understand why it's got to be the big name. Like they went with Magic Johnson, big name, failed. Now they're going to go with people on Kobe Bryant, big name. The big name is not always the best. The big name is not always the ultimate answer. It can be. And do you go? Can you really afford to risk bringing in the big name who has no experience yet again? I mean, that seems foolish. How many times do you make the same mistake if you're Jeannie Buss? Let's go to, is that Ed in Los Angeles? We'll go to Ed. You're on ESPN Radio.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, I wanted to call up and mostly agree with you that a lot of the moves that have been made by Magic were not great. I am a lifelong Laker fan, and Magic is my guy. But I felt like there were a couple of things that you haven't talked about that might have been the biggest mistakes. Now, the guy before me just stole a little bit of my thunder. At the beginning of the season, Jerry West offered his services. He wanted to come join as a consultant and be part of the Brain Trust, and somebody blocked that. And if that ended up being Magic who blocked that, that would have been one of his biggest mistakes. The other thing you're not talking about, too, that might have been a big mistake this season was the whole idea of betting the bank on Anthony Davis. Jeannie went on a podcast where she said that was fake news, that, you know, we never would have bet the bank and traded all those guys
they thought
for him.
they were absolutely going to get Anthony Davis. And I mentioned that earlier. I said I think that this thing completely went south when they didn't get Anthony Davis. Because you can't – all the guys on that team were expecting to be dealt. Now they're not. Now you got to try to teach them and work with them. How does that work? It doesn't.
But that would have been the mistake. That if Magic was behind that trade and that was truthful, that would have been the mistake. You don't get – one guy doesn't save a franchise. We know this now. Even though he's past his prime, LeBron can't do it. Anthony and LeBron together probably wouldn't have done it. You need a supporting young cast that will be there for years. And – I mean, to me, the guy who stopped Ivica Zubac from playing, a young center who was ready to develop and become a dominant center in this league, they dumped somebody. Somebody chose not to give him any playing time and eventually trade him away. Those are the decisions that were happening. And then, you know, there's one more thing that came out interestingly in the local news here. Magic did mention backstabbing and whispering a few times, and nobody really said what he was referring to.
Yeah, I don't know, and thanks for the call, if he was referring to the GM. But it sounds like, and Steve and I started the show joining us, saying Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka did not get along. ESPN Radio presented by Progressive Insurance, making it just so easy to bundle your home and car insurance. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776.
I never saw Space Jam 1. I know it's been a while. It's just, you know what? It was never in my wheelhouse when it came out. It's just not something that I really wanted to see, that I had to see. I'm familiar with the storyline. It's really not difficult to grasp, right? I know that there were some NBA players in the original with Michael Jordan. I get it. So LeBron is going to be in the sequel. And now there's guys, according to Brian Windhorst, our very own, that don't want to join forces with him in the movie. So this goes back to our earlier conversation about Kyrie and other potential free agents with the Lakers. If guys don't want to join LeBron James's team in a fictitious basketball movie and to play on a fictional basketball team, then why am I going to sit here and believe that any basketball players want to join his real team in real life basketball in the NBA? That doesn't bode well, don't you think? Nobody wants to get paid a lot of money to go shoot a movie, which is like playtime stuff and have LeBron James as a teammate. So do you really think that they're going to change their mind in real life? This might be a real thing, that nobody wants to play with LeBron. Even his buddy, Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony doesn't have a job. Nobody in the NBA wants him. Yet, Carmelo don't even want to go play on the Space Jam team. I don't know what they're called either. I don't know what the name of the team is going to be called. I don't know what the name of the team was in the first one. They'll probably come up with some catchy name, but even Melo doesn't want to play in that game. The Monstars, as our producer John Winthrop is telling me. The Monstars. That was Jordan's team, the Monstars? Oh, that was the Aliens. Well, what was... Oh, they returned into Aliens. My mind is blown right now. Okay? The fact that you're telling me Ewing and Barkley turned to aliens, I mean, maybe I have to go see this movie. Right? I know I'm maybe like 20 years too late, 25 years too late, but you know what? It's funny. The Dream Team has come up a lot in this show today.
The A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
A lot of Lakers talk, a lot of Lakers ineffectiveness, I guess is the word, of what they've been over the last couple of years. Kind of an embarrassing situation last night when Magic Johnson just has an impromptu press conference and says, oh, by the way, I'm done. This didn't work out. Now, if you missed any of the show today, go check it out on demand in the Stephen A. Smith podcast, brought to you by the Capital One Saver Card. Earn 4% cash back on dining and entertainment, 2% at grocery stores, and 1% on all other purchases. What's in your wallet? 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Let's go to Jan in Portland. Jan, you're on ESPN Radio.
Yeah, hi, I'm here. I'd like to talk about the Lakers. One of the things that most commentators don't address on TV or on the radio is that LeBron is really not a very nice guy. He's a great basketball player, very talented. His people skills are wanting, and a lot of people won't want to play with him. I heard Byron Scott this morning on the TV say that one of the reasons Magic is leaving is that some other people in charge of the team didn't want to do what he wanted to do. I suspect he is wanting to trade LeBron, get rid of LeBron,
trade LeBron,
and go back to the drawing board.
Oh boy,
yeah.
I don't know. I cannot envision them trading LeBron. I mean, you trade LeBron, you now have nothing. You want to just start from scratch?
Well, you can trade LeBron for something, and then you can go back and get some of the superstars who might not want to come if LeBron's there. I suspect there are a lot of them who won't
I would ask this,
on the
and thanks for the call. I would ask this to the Knicks fan. Would you trade that pick right now for LeBron? Right now. Not knowing what it is. Potluck, whatever it's going to be. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Zion Williamson, John Morant, R.J. Barrett. Could be Bol at 5. We don't know. Would you trade that pick and bring back LeBron? I guess it depends on what Kevin Durant says to that, right? Because that's the guy you got to get in here. Zach in Florida. Zach, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hi, thanks for getting me on the show. I just wanted to comment and say, Magic Johnson, he was a great player and everything. And it's not as easy as they think, I believe, to get in after they're playing. Because you look at Wayne Gretzky, I know it's a different sport, but greatest hockey player ever. He found out that coaching wasn't as easy as he maybe thought it was been. And as for LeBron, we've seen what he's did in Cleveland and Miami, and I think he's a good teammate.
I think he's difficult, Zach. I think he's difficult. I think he's demanding. I think, and thanks for the phone call, I think that he's very difficult to get along with, and I think that he wants things done his way. There's also proof that his way works well. He's won multiple championships. He's been to a million NBA finals, and he is the greatest player we've seen in this league since Michael Jordan. And I know the Kobe people come out and say, no, Kobe, but I don't think so. For me, LeBron is well beyond Kobe, Shaq, all those guys. He's at a completely different level. Let's go real quick to Tom in Kansas. Tom, you're on ESPN Radio.
Dave, I won't yell at you, but I will respectfully disagree. The foolish caller who hung up earlier, you guys do make the number one story, whether it is or not. And you tend to, like if there's a golf tournament, it's not the scores, the stories of the tournament, it's what happened to Tiger. But
why? But here's the thing, Tom. Why? Tom, I'm going to let you go on. I hear what you're saying, and I'm not being disrespectful. Why do you think we cater to what's happening to Tiger? Because that's what everyone wants to know. Why do you think we talk about Magic Johnson up and leaving the LA Lakers? Because that's what everyone wants to discuss. So we play the hits that you, in fact, want to hear. All right. Big thanks to Stephen A. letting me sit in. Thanks to Stephen A. for joining us, and Ramona as well. I'm Dave Rothenberg. This is ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Will Kane. Coming up right after Stephen A. Smith. Join us on The Will Kane Show live on ESPN Radio, Sirius XM Channel 80, and ESPN News.